Good afternoon. This is Ron Brown. It is May 12th, 2023. I am getting close to the point of beginning my webinar series about how I use HGS Investor software. And I am calling this Unleashing the Power of HGS Investor Software because there are a lot of techniques you can use and do with the software that most people don't know about, but I'm going to concentrate on a few what I think are the most productive. So it's not going to be totally in depth about what you can do, everything you can do with the software and all the components and so on, but it will be focused on getting the most out of it in the shortest amount of time. So let's move on to the next slide. This is going to be an evolutionary webinar. By that I mean I'm going to create and modify my files over several weeks. If I wait and do everything I want to do before I ever start, I'll never get started because I'm always working on something new. So as we go along, I will create and or modify what I already have and put them in a logical order and teach you how to use them. The emphasis is going to be on low-risk entries, risk control, and letting your profits run. My primary entry methods, both long and short, are based on demand and supply, based upon price and volume, or VPA, volume price analysis, which are Wyckoff principles. Also, moving average crossovers, support and resistance, etc. No stock, or ETF, or market can make a move without a short-term crossover of the 3 and the 6-day exponential moving averages. And these are the moving averages I use for entry and sometimes exits. My scans all feature these crossovers and the number of days since they occurred. When the DEMAs or daily exponential moving averages, or that should be not daily, it should be period exponential moving averages, because when we're looking at weekly charts and the moving averages are on there, it reflects the weekly period. When these are combined, we have a powerful method of prospecting. This webinar series is not for beginners, but most techniques are easy to implement. And this is the final slide I'll look at today. You can watch the webinar series free. That's fine. I'm just going to post it so everybody can watch it so they can see the power of the software. But if you want my webinar files, you can have my regular files, which are going to be changed and not nearly as coherent as the webinar files are going to be. If you want the webinar files, you must be a member of the Insider Club, and you must pay $100 for the evolving webinar files. Of course, you must have the software. To join my Insider Club, just go to highgrowthstock.com, then click on the order link. To obtain my files and to join the webinar sessions, the live sessions on Thursdays, go to highgrowthstockinvestor.com. It's HGSinvestor.com. Select the $100 option. I'll go there in a second to show you what to do. Okay, now I opened up the software and I'm going to go to the Help menu. You can reach the website just by clicking on here, and then to join the Insider Club, click on Order, and you can either join monthly, it's only $25 a month, or you can join yearly for $200, which will save you a third if you plan on sticking with it. And either option will get you into the Insider Club, so you can then purchase the files. I'm going to go to www.HGSinvestor, which is my website, and this is bare bones. I've never done anything with it, but just click on this link right here, add to cart. This is a $100 link, and it says previous webinar attendees, but it also works if you're a member of the Insider Club, and you can use PayPal, or if you go to PayPal, you can also use a credit card. Now I want to get into the basics of what I'm going to be discussing. This will not be a long video, but I just want to point some things out. First of all, if you're going to be in the market, you really need to understand the underlying structure of the market. And the underlying structure is really just determining where the strength and weakness is in the market, what's moving up, what's moving down, and what's not moving, the breadth, a lot of things like that. And these are all things that we'll just cover as I go through these videos. But right now, you can see this, it says webinar series on here. So when I make these available for installation, when they do install, it's going to be under this folder called webinar series. Right now I'm in my Major Markets Plus. I'm going to open up the designer, and I want to point out that I'm going to use this short list for market analysis, for major market analysis in the future. So I'll put this in the add-on, and it's going to get rid of all of those other groups which I don't believe any of us were using. If you were using the extended list and you want it, I'll make it available, and you can have it also. But these are groups and indexes which I find the most useful, and they are major indexes and ETFs, and most popular ETFs and so on. And then down here I've got the top 100 holdings in the ETF components, or the top 100 holdings in the major indexes, because these are the institutional stocks in both of these. So if you want to know the underlying structure of the market, this is what the professionals and the funds are generally working with. Not always, but that's why they're included in the list. Now, when I get into the webinar series, my process is going to be primarily a top-down process. If you've seen me do the market analysis and so on, I will cover that again. And I'll use both the major markets and ETFs, and also the HGSI indexes. All of these help us determine the underlying structure of the market, what's really happening. And you really need to have a feel for what's going on in the markets before you initiate your trades. Is the market favoring the upside or the downside, or is it doing nothing? It's been doing nothing for quite some time here. This is a QQQ. You can see that this recently broke past resistance at this point. If I hit my alternate A key and bring these annotation tools up, I'm going to click on this right here, and I'm going to hold at this point, hold the shift key, and then it'll draw a horizontal line and extend it. This is where the Qs broke out the other day, but the SPY did not break out. But you can see this was on light volume. Well, this day was pretty heavy volume here. I'm just going to click on that, and it'll come straight down to the volume or above the volume. So you can see that was a heavy volume day. It gapped open, traded down, traded back up, and we broke resistance. I thought maybe we're on our way, but the following day you can see the volume was very light, and today it's even going to be lighter on a Friday. The debt relief issue, or the limitation, is still in place. There are no talks today. I've said in my morning chart, the NASDAQ chart, I don't think much is going to happen in the market until that's resolved one way or the other. Now, I don't want to spend a lot of time in the market right now. I want to clear these annotations and close this. And I want to show you, just take you down this list a little bit. The files that I'm going to be shipping to you or letting you download. It's going to go into a folder called the Top-Down Process Scans Webinar Series, Top-Down for Market Analysis, for ETF Analysis, the HGSI Index Analysis. I'll cover all of these in videos, and then we'll talk about them in those live sessions. And then this is something new that I've done. I decided to put A, B, C, D, E in here. These are just some other ways to go top down and get a good feel for the market. Now I'm going to update the intraday now for the entire database. This takes just a few seconds to do this if you have a decent internet connection. And then I'll have all of the current data. But this first one, stocks and groups up and down, this leads to the W&B or Woodward and Brown smart groups end of day. These are the same smart groups that are in the designer under here, under Woodward and Brown, stocks and groups moving up and down here in this area. Rather than coming here and finding them, I thought it would be a lot more convenient if we could just click on this. I have to be in all securities though. And the easiest way to get there is to hold your alternate key and click on the space bar, and it takes you to all securities. And then I can click on this first one. This is end of day. I'll get this out of the way. This is the way the market looked last night based upon the stocks and groups moving up. And you can see the percentage price change on the indexes. Not all the indexes were up, and not all the stocks were up. You can see that. This is based upon a combo ranking which has been in use for at least 15 years. It's a really good way to prospect because you can see which groups are moving. Even if the groups are down, there are going to be stocks within those groups that are moving. If I click on this, I get a quick breakdown. Look at the home builders group. It's been very strong for quite some time, and it was again yesterday. Now, if I want to see this same group in this order today, and remember, we're in a very weak market day, I'm just going to disengage. This turns off the view combo, so it's not going to resort when I go down to the intraday. So the sort is the same because I didn't apply the combo ranking. You can see the X right here. So these are all in the same order, and you can see which, if any, of these stocks are still following through. And Target Hospitality Corp followed through, and it's trading currently at 87% of its daily range on above average volume. This is the only stock in this group that was up. This is one of my standard views, or these are my standard feels. The days since the 3 crossed the 6, up and down. Days since the volume point of control 10-10 crossed up and down. Zeros are always the crossover days. So this tells me that 3 days ago, Target Hospitality crossed over on both the volume point of control and the 3 up through the 6. So before I even bring the charts up, and I'll do that right now, I can see when these started moving. So this is today. This is not included in this information up here. But if I go down here, and you'll be getting these charts, I'm just going to use the first chart with the 3, 6, and the 18. This is where the volume point of control, I'll put my crosshair on, alternate C, volume point of control, turned green down here. On the same day, there was an effort to rise on this stock. Then there was a pullback shakeout. And then yesterday, it continued to move higher, which we saw up here, 6.82%, and it's following through today. I'm sorry, this is today, 6.82%. It was up yesterday. I have to go back to this. Yesterday it was up 4.1%, and today it's up 6.82%. But I know just from looking at these two columns that this stock was moving up. Now there, like I said, an effort to rise. I'm combining VPA with the crossover of the moving averages. Here's the crossover of the moving average, the 3 and the 6. Here is a pocket pivot and the volume point of control. So everything is lining up, and at the same time, notice that the group moved up. So just in this single chart, there is a lot of information about this stock. Now right now I notice that I didn't go in to the correct charts. These are my old charts. I want my webinar series charts, and I just noticed this because the MACD is in here. I consider the MACD just another indicator. I much would rather use the 3 and 6 day crossovers. I can see plenty of momentum in the spikes as the price moves up and these moving averages move apart. I get no information really from the choppiness of the MACD. That's why I'm eliminating it from the webinar files, but they'll be in my other files. So let's go down here. I'm going to go to number 3. This is the one I want, except I've got the white rather than the black, but that's all right because you can see that I have both of them. There you go. And see that I've eliminated the MACD. Let's study this chart a little bit more. I'm going to make it full screen. And let's go back here to this point. You can see this stock moved up nicely. It got up here into the resistance area. It could not get through it. There was selling on this bar right here. The 0, it'll tell you what it is right here, transfer of ownership. So there was profit taking as it got up to the resistance area, and then it started rolling over. This would be a high pivot here, and then the breakdown below that high pivot would be right here. Then we got a rally back up, but it didn't get anywhere near the resistance area, and then it started rolling over. At the same time, if I go up to the top, look at the group. It started coming down, and then there was an effort to fall, and there was a negative volume pocket pivot as the 3 crossed down through the 6. Yes, there was a little chop in here. I mean, this can't be avoided, but generally these crossovers in conjunction with the VPA flags and looking for pivots and volume point of control, turn negative here, these will keep you on the right side of the market. Let's go back to this candle right here. The 3 did cross over the 6 again. It's hard to see, but the green did go up through the red. But if you look down here, even though the volume point of control 1010 was positive, look how low the actual volume was. So on that long white candle, there was absolutely no conviction on that, and this is called an anomaly when a price bar or candle goes up like that without volume. It is not a convincing move. Now as I move a little bit to the right here, you can see that the histogram, the 3 went below the 6. Even though these lines are hard to see, you can always confirm down here. I use the histogram to see when they went down, and as the stock started falling, the lines spread apart. As they spread apart, this histogram represents the distance that the lines are apart. It's hard to judge how far apart they are here. It's much easier to judge down here. And then as we got down here, you can see that there was some accumulation that started coming in. The people, the traders that thought this was overdone, started accumulation. Here's a test. There's no supply, confirmation, or strength seen returning. No supply, test, no supply, test. Started to move up, test, no supply, and then we had another little shakeout here. But as these two candles turned red, and you really need 3 lower lows for a change of trend, and I'll get into that in this webinar series. Even though the histogram turned negative, once again, look down at the volume. No volume here on the selling. And that's very, very important. And then what happened here, look at this, 2 pocket pivots. Volume was not high, but these 2 volume bars are higher than any down days on volume over the past 5 or 10 days. So it shows some accumulation there. Didn't do much, but we had more VPA flags. Didn't do anything yet. And then on this shakeout day here, that circle means stopping volume. Normally indicates bearishness is nearing. And then this was probably earnings day. Notice how wide the histogram bars are as this shot up. That's because the 3 is moving away from the 6, and it continued to move away as you would expect with this market going up. So another pocket pivot day here on the effort to rise, and then the volume point of control also turned green as this stock moves up. So even on a bad market day, this stock is continuing to move up. Okay, I'm going to minimize this and let's look over here at the weekly chart. You can see there was a lot of support on the weekly chart over here. It took several weeks. This represents several weeks. And then here is the weekly spike. But this stock had moved up sharply. It broke out here on the weekly, and then it started coming down. Here's some good negative EPA flags and so on, and then the accumulation started here. But it held at support. In this webinar series, I'm going to be doing a lot of looking at charts, and I'll be using this as my standard scorecard with these views. These are Wyckoff indicators. These are moving average crossovers. Here's the VPA signals over here. Here's industry percentage price change, and so on. Some of these views also contain the relative strength. And this one does clear over here at the right. Here's the relative strength rank and the Kirkpatrick relative strength, which is based upon a 26 period moving average. I'm going to end this video here. There are a lot of things that I'm going to touch on as we go through this, and it's primarily going to be dealing with prospecting using these moving average crossovers and the volume point of analysis and so on. But just remember, no stock can become a leader without crossing these moving averages, and I generally use this one for confirmation for this is the micro trend, short-term trend, and the medium-term trend, and then the fan, this fan right here, these moving averages are for the long-term trend. I said I was going to end it, but I changed my mind. Before I go, let's take a look at. I'm going to go into a different view. Let's just go to long-term leaders and do an intraday view. Okay, I'm sorted on raw combo. Let's look at this stock here. I don't know anything about it, but this is a pretty good example. Alphatech holdings. You can see that it is up today. It has pulled back. As it pulled back, notice that the 3 went down through the 6. First of all, this is in the long-term leader scans because the fan is up and the relative strength numbers are high. If you look over here to the left, the RS rank is 95. The Kirkpatrick rank is 92. It was trading above the 18 period moving average, and then it sold off here. You can see it tried to move up. That was rejected. Transfer of ownership, and then it started moving down. So here's the first lower low, second lower low, third lower low, which the third lower low actually began right there. And so the trend was down at that point, but then we started getting some VPA flags. So as this came down, notice the 3 went below the 6. There was a high volume day the prior day with the volume pocket pivot, negative volume pocket pivot. Another one here as it sold off. That means they're bailing out. And then the 3 went down through the 6, and it spread. Notice how wide or how long these histogram bars became. And also the 6 went down through the 18. And the market buyers started stepping in here. This is a 100-day exponential moving average. And this is strength seen returning. Strength seen returning. Test. This is always good when you see a test and a confirmation of that test on an effort to rise as this market starts, or this stock, I'm sorry, starts regaining its momentum to the upside. So I said it's a long term. Let's take a look at it. Look at the weekly chart here. This is up from 6.5 to around $16. And it had week after week of gains. A 1 week pullback doesn't really count. 1 week pullback, another 1 week pullback, and now it's starting to go up again. But here's your trigger to the upside right here. Volume point of control the day before. And then the 3-day crossover right here. Didn't go up immediately. Little shakeout, but here's a test. And now it looks like it wants to go higher. This video has gotten a lot longer than I wanted it to, but I just want to show you what I'm going to be doing during the webinar series. Thank you for listening and have a good weekend.